OU psychology professor Dr. Thomas Burnt led off the plaintiff's battery of expert witnesses. Dr. Burnt testified about the ability of school-aged children to make religious choices. The psychologist said young students at Little Axe School could not distinguish between what they had been taught and what they actually believe. The plaintiff's children had previously testified about harassment they had been subjected to because they refused to attend preschool sharing sessions. 15-year-old Robbie McCord described how his classmates accused him of devil worship because he wouldn't join in the religious meetings. Psychologist Dr. Vernon Enlow testified that Robbie had the beginnings of paranoid thinking because of his experience. Dr. Enlow said that all 4 of the plaintiff's children were emotionally disturbed over the situation. The psychologist said the kids felt they were being punished for their parents' beliefs.
I don't think that anything was shown that any kind of emotional disturbance was caused by this. You have to remember, he said he only had been exposed to them for about 36 minutes, I believe, of evaluation. So I don't think in that kind of question or issue, a psychologist could make a real credible evaluation.
And in the horse-drawn buggy is the mayor of Oklahoma City, the Honorable Patience Latting. Let me tell you about it. They certainly deserve you a round of applause. They're working hard. And the National Commander-in-Chief in the buggy.
The Concho Indian School is also a boarding home for Indian children, many the victims of broken homes. Most have attended public schools, but found the experience less than favorable. The government wants to close the school because of declining enrollment. But the word from concerned patrons today was that would be a big mistake, that many children simply would not go to school at all.
School closing.
Some of the patrons said they were angry with the government for showing little compassion for the Indian people.
One of the main problems that Indian people and Indian education face is that Indian education is not a priority within the Bureau, within Title IV, or within the Reagan administration.
At Concho, these people care very much. They get, it's been said, clean beds, good food, people that care, people that they know they care for them. And I would hate to see the facility closed. It's desperately needed that these children know that they are wanted and that they are cared for.
How can the government and the secretary justify the closing of Concho School when our government continually increases budgets for prison construction, law enforcement, and sophisticated felon apprehension programs? Not to say anything about the high escalated and continual escalating budget of the Department of the Defense.
The government representative listened to their comments. He will report them to Washington. Even the Indian children came to be heard, handing the government representative dozens of letters that had been written in class. In soft-spoken voices, they had only one wish.
And I was wondering if you could try harder, not just for me, but for the kids that don't even have parents. That's why they are here. If Concho closes, I'll miss the people here, and everybody is depending on you. Thank you.
But somehow, in the back of their minds, they feel the government has already made a decision on the school, and that their efforts today were futile. Bella Shaw, Action 4.
I think it has great positive value for the overall climate educationally in the school and psychologically. Morally, I think it has a tendency to help people grow into a more mature and positive view of their fellow man and of their own potential.
Judge Ralph Thompson spent part of the afternoon viewing news videotapes depicting an actual sharing session. Included among those stories was a report broadcast by Action 4 a year and a half ago.
Need God. I'm praying that we will not kick him out of our school. We need him, people. Let's pray.
It was standing room only at today's sharing session. For 20 minutes before school, the Little Axe students sang songs and testified about their religious experiences.
It's good to be a Christian because Jesus will help you a lot of ways. He's helped me a lot.
But not everyone was clapping. An ACLU attorney accompanied the Little Axe parents who brought the lawsuit. Those plaintiffs aren't very popular with other Little Axe parents.
But I don't think that you got any business down here. You ain't nothing but a communist and humanism. Y'all trying to take what religion that's left in our country out of it. The only people that y'all defend are criminals anyway, and the victims have no rights. These kids are the victims of.
The Spencer community mourned the slaying of police officer Kevin Simmons. At the police station, flags flew at half-staff, while investigators continued their work on the case. But for Simmons' colleagues, there was only sadness and shock.
Why would a police officer get killed? I don't have the answer. I wish I did.
Other people in the community also wrestled for answers to the slain. Officer Simmons frequently visited this convenience store just a few yards from where he was killed. His death has saddened and scared some people here.
Well, gee, if they kill a policeman, what do they do to you? That's what scares you if they come in, you know, this time of year.
There was also disbelief. The news of Simmons' slaying shocked the community. Tragedy in Spencer had again made the headlines.
Hey, when I heard it, I didn't know what to think, because I was hoping it was a mistake, but
He'd come in and joke and just talk usual stuff about the community and about his work and stuff. He's real nice.
You would never expect it to happen, especially to Kevin. You know, he did, all I know, he did his job well.
About 6-something every morning, he comes up here and check, see if I was all right. And so he go back there and play Pac-Man all the time. Then he leaves, said he'd be back to check on me and stuff.
No, he tried to treat everybody right, but he knew.
Wonderful person. Never seen anybody like him. Just more like a friend to me, not just a policeman.
And it really hurts?
Yeah, I just can't believe it's just...
Debbie Mash, Action 4 in Spencer.
Oklahoma wheat farmers are suffering, along with farmers in other wheat-producing states across the country. Market value is down, and farmers are doing well these days to break even. There's a new White House proposal, though, that might turn out to be a new lifesaver for struggling farmers. It turns the surplus into cash by paying farmers in grain for not planting wheat.
This new payment-in-kind approach has several significant advantages. Production can be reduced, thus bringing supply back into closer demand with balance. Stocks can be reduced at the same time, lessening the overhang on the market at harvest next year and enhancing the prospects for a market-led recovery in farm prices and incomes in future years.
There's a catch, though. Farmers who would be willing to participate must be willing to plant absolutely no wheat. At a meeting tonight near Stillwater, Oklahoma farmers listened to discussion on Reagan's new plan. At that meeting was farm activist Wayne Cryts. He supports the plan wholeheartedly.
I think it's at least a step in the right direction, and I think the fact that by him coming out with this, that at least indicates that he does realize that there is a problem out here in agriculture and that at least they are looking for a solution.
Critics of the new plan say it would only help individual farmers and not the entire wheat industry. Proponents say it could save not only farms, but lives. Dan Slocum, Action 4 in Stillwater.
John Wilkins, he's one of the store owners. He run it behind me and said that car was moving so fast he'd like to run over him to get out of here.
Okay. Had a black male?
A black male, and a black female, and a small kid, a small baby.
You handle the bareback riding in Liberal County. Ladies and
Chancellor's Great Primo. This horse is tough to ride. Goes for a first forward. Look at the guy. Stays there. Falls back. Jerks his knee. Gets the exposure here to be one and on the horse. Bruce Ford. 2,000 that year. Ladies and gentlemen, before... And it would appear that he...
And after I went out, this all feel mighty good.
congratulations to the wild horse, Bruce Ford. Now as we go to the steer wrestling.
The rest of the service will point us in that direction. Let us enter our prayer of detour signs, the slippery signs.
It was a sad time, but I think the sadness was made easier by the sharing of it. You know, so often in our society when you grieve alone. And to me it was very comforting to have the community and our mayor, you know, sharing my grief with me. sharing my grief.
More drunk drivers we arrested this week than in previous weeks. It might be somewhat, and he'll have to address that one, though.
I'm very pleased that beginning April 1st, there'll be a new state law taking effect, and incidentally, this is a state law that is in line with the preliminary recommendations of the Presidential Commission on Drunk Driving.
You just can't take that kind of a chance with your water. We don't have any other water source here.
I guess anytime you start a new business or you bring something into a state that they've never seen before, you can expect some kind of opposition. I don't feel any kind of resentment or anything towards these people. I'm, willing to work out anything with the state. Any of the regulatory authorities that are, I'm told to, I'll deal with them.
I love people a lot, and I love life. I love to enjoy every minute of my life, not just to sit home and study.
21-year-old Abla Umali, who likes to go by Abby, is a foreign student from Jordan. Abby works part-time as a waitress, but full-time she's working on her master's degree at Oscar Rose Junior College. Abby's no ordinary student. She received her degree in 3 years and made straight A's. Abby's been studying in the United States since September, and in a few months she's returning to Jordan to receive the highest educational honor her country gives. Abby will be presented with a 5-year full scholarship by King Hussein.
I can go to any country I want in the world as long as I study English literature, which was my major in my bachelor's degree. And I can study master's degree and a PhD, which is doctoral degree, English literature. The king gonna pay for everything, my schooling and all the expenses, but I have to get straight A's.
Abby says she's honored by her award, but she says with a little determination, most anything can be done.
I know, I can do it. Why shouldn't I? If I have the ability to get an A, why should I get a D? So I always, wanted to get an A. And if I don't, it means that I didn't work in it, because if you work on something and you want to get it, you can get it.
Debbie Mash, Action 4.
Take a look at the newest way to get around in downtown Oklahoma City and nearby Bricktown. This is the first of 4 trolleys scheduled to officially start passenger routes next Monday. Trolleys will provide shuttle rides for anyone who may want to make several stops downtown and not feel like walking. The cost to ride is a price anyone can live with. It's free. Each trolley can transport 27 people in comfort while listening to music on an AM/FM stereo cassette sound system. Mass transit officials think the trolleys will be a welcome addition to downtown. And this time, the trolley will survive.
Well, everybody's really caught up into the nostalgia period, and we've had a lot of excitement ever since we started talking about the trolleys, from people calling in and asking about them, inquiring them, finding out what routes they're on. I guess people just kind of like a little touch of the past.
Eventually, trolley rides may cost 10 cents, but that will be down the road. It's doubtful Oklahoma City will ever see the day when trolleys are the main form of transportation. But it's nice to have trolley rides part of the city again. Ed Stewart, Action 4 in downtown Oklahoma City.
'Cause 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 '
Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good tidings to you wherever you are. Good tidings for Christmas and a Happy New Year. Merry Christmas!
Okay, what number? Number 4. Number 4.
One other individual, especially in the last 2 or 3 months, had evidence of that. And the sum total is that there has obviously been some mismanagement of the funds at the Bureau of Narcotics, but there was no evidence presented to me that would warrant prosecution of any individuals.
You did find one, but you just can't prosecute. Is that correct?
It's not sufficient, to at least get by a demurrer of the evidence. And in that case, I would not have, because I would have to use the statements that he made and the evidence that he led them to, and it's inadmissible. So it is not a prosecutable case.
Okay, there may be some kind of cover-up.
I will be happy to let anyone look at these reports that they've authorized. And for technical reasons, I cannot prosecute him. He was not Mirandized. Everything he gave them was a fruit of the poison vine. Well, it's not a matter of who I'd like or not like to charge.
As a result of your investigation,
Of Amcare's 138 employees, only 8 are black. One of the agency's former black workers says the number is so low because of racial discrimination. Amcare officials say they would love to hire more minorities, but finding qualified people is a problem. There have also been charges of racial tension between black and white emergency medical technicians, but Amcare says there has never been any formal complaint made in writing by employees. Today, council members listened to a black woman charged she was fired from Amcare because of her race after a year on the job. She's asking the city to investigate the matter, but the council feels it cannot take any action because the case is now before the Human Rights Commission. Donna Porter says she has had several policy disputes with Amcare before she was fired, but adds she has always come out the victor once an investigation was completed, and she thinks she will win this latest battle.
Anytime that you're suspended and you go back and you find the company at fault and they pay you your money back, then I don't think you're at fault. I didn't discriminate against them. I didn't call them out of their names, They discriminated against me.
Well, I didn't quite see it that way. She had filed a discrimination charge against the trust because she indicated she had been suspended with pay during a prior investigation but had not received her pay. When we were notified by the Human Rights Commission of the accusation, we produced the appropriate payroll records and found that indeed she had been paid. So it appeared that her complaint was moot on its own merits.
Amcare officials say they are not at liberty to discuss exactly why Porter was fired. She says the official cause was listed as insubordination. The fired worker wants her job back, but Amcare is sure the facts will show she deserved to be terminated. Ed Stewart, Action 4.
When walking into the Ralph Plotner residence in Bethany, you automatically realize that this is no ordinary house, and the Christmas spirit inside is just as grand.
With all the hard times, I think it's good for people to visualize that there can be happiness and that they can have some benefit out of just driving around and seeing the lights if nothing else.
The Oklahoma City Jail is doing all it can to avoid the overcrowding problems county jails around the state have. Right now, there are 161 prisoners in the jail, but that number should be going up since the holiday season has arrived. City leaders are talking about the possibility of releasing non-violent inmates to do community service work. This would be an alternative to staying in jail, but so far the idea is still in the talking stages.
On several occasions over the past 18 years that I've been a police officer, they've talked about P-farms, which is a prisoner farm where they work out their fines and it's minimum security. That kind of thing has been talked about quite a few years, but nothing's ever been done with it.
Police are using the time-pay system to keep the jail population down. Here, a convicted person is released and must pay his or her fine in monthly installments. Oklahoma City's detox center is also helping police because now the jail is handling fewer people arrested for public drunkenness. That alone keeps 12,000 persons from being put behind bars. Even with all the different programs, Oklahoma City's jail is sure to have its fair share of business. Ed Stewart, Action 4.
He threatened the teller again and then pushed the button on the mechanism. Of course, nothing happened. The teller sounded the hold-up alarm. The man ran west, fled from the scene on foot. We are searching the area. The device was dismantled by our bomb technicians. It was a dummy device. It had all of the components, however, it was lacking any explosive device or true triggering mechanism.
Senator David Boren urged a spirit of cooperation among all groups. Boren called for a bipartisan pact for progress. He said politicians too often do things just to make themselves look good.
It seems that too often the interests of the politicians and the political parties get in the way of the people's interests. Too often, if one party proposes an idea, the other party opposes it, often without even seriously considering it.
Boren also had an optimistic tone, saying Americans had the energy, spirit, and ingenuity to solve their problems. He said it's simply a matter of getting in the same boat together. Bill Ross, Action 4. Customers shopping for Christmas presents have long held the key to a successful year for department stores. But with unemployment up and the economy down, there were questions about this year's sales.
Today has been busy at Quail Springs Mall. Store managers say that just continues a trend started before Christmas.
Store did real well. The last 2 days particularly were very strong, like a last-minute surge to wrap up the shopping. Oh, I think people just traditionally, want to have a good Christmas, and they will buy those gifts no matter what.
Customers are still buying for Christmas regardless of not having enough money. They are still out in the store buying. They are looking more at the pink tickets, which are the sale tickets, but they are buying.
Most store managers said today's sales were good. They were surprised more people were buying instead of returning merchandise. But it's not clear if this Christmas season is the beginning of the consumer buying spree that economists say is necessary for a recovery. If it is, the stores would have gotten the Christmas present they wanted most. Bill Ross, Action 4 at Quail Springs Mall.
The bad news came over the street department's weather teletype. The moisture would continue, and temperatures were expected to dip well below freezing after dark. The street department had to make sure its supply of de-icing chemicals was ready. The salt, sand, and fertilizer can cake up without proper attention. With those details taken care of, the street department is ready to put its battle plan into action.
We'll load our machines, and we have predetermined routes, and these routes are routes that's been determined by traffic counts, and we'll just address them that way. And our bridges is #1 priority, and then we take the arterial streets after that.
The winter storm season usually ends by mid-February, but the street clearing crews have been called to duty as late as Easter. Scott Wallace, Action 4, Southwest Oklahoma City.